A country where the world's highest waterfall cuts through the clouds as it cascades down below. Where lightning flashes across the sky millions of times every year, as if nature is putting on its own light show throughout the night. A country whose women are famous around the world for their beauty, having won numerous titles such as Miss Universe and Miss World. And where the world's largest oil reserves lie hidden beneath the ground. We're talking about Venezuela. A country that makes headlines every day because of its economic and political crises. Although there was a time when the whole world counted it among the richest countries in South America. The vast oil reserves hidden beneath its land gave it so much wealth that gasoline became cheaper than water here. But then times changed, and that same country went on to witness one of the biggest economic crises in the world. But the story of this country is not limited to poverty and helplessness. Rather, it is also one of the most beautiful travel destinations in the world. Here, there are mountains that are 2 billion years old, appearing to float above the clouds. Hundreds of islands are scattered across the Caribbean Sea. There is the world's highest waterfall, and there are forests where animals like jaguars, capybaras, giant anteaters, and anacondas still roam freely. This country has some of the most dangerous roads in the world, where traveling along them is like inviting death. But the views there will leave your eyes sparkling. And today, we will set out on a journey through this most mysterious and one of the most beautiful countries on the South American continent, a place whose beauty will make your heart beat faster. Venezuela, the land of contrasts. When we look at Venezuela on a globe, at first glance, it appears to be an ordinary country in the South American continent. Known to the world because of its poverty, but as soon as you step inside its borders, it feels as if several different worlds exist within a single country. In the north, there are the turquoise beaches and hundreds of islands of the Caribbean Sea, while in the south, dense Amazon rainforests stretch across the land. In the west, snow-covered Andes mountains appear to touch the sky, while in the east, the Orinoco River flows into the Atlantic Ocean through its vast delta. And in the middle of all this are the ancient Tepuy Mountains, millions of years old, which are counted among the most mysterious mountains on Earth. Spread across approximately 916,000 square kilometers, Venezuela is one of the largest countries in South America. Colombia lies to its west, Brazil to the south, and Guyana to the east, while the Caribbean Sea, stretching across the north, has connected this country to the rest of the world for centuries. With a population of around 30 million, this country is officially called the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, and its official language is Spanish. Its capital is Caracas, which is also the country's largest city. But the most interesting story of Venezuela lies hidden beneath its land. Beneath this very land are the world's largest crude oil reserves. There was a time when this oil made Venezuela one of the richest countries in South America. Gasoline even became cheaper than water for the people. Wealth poured into the country, huge cities began to grow, and the eyes of the entire world turned toward this small country. But history is proof that natural resources alone cannot guarantee a country's progress. So, despite having oil, this country suddenly became trapped in the chains of poverty. But why? We'll find out later in the video. For now, if we talk about the culture here, music is a part of people's daily lives. Whether it's the Caribbean coast, the open plains of the Llanos, or the streets of Caracas, every region has its own rhythm, its own flavor, and its own identity. Perhaps that's why every tourist who visits here returns home, having seen a completely different Venezuela. So let's now begin our journey with a natural wonder that millions of people visit Venezuela every year to see. Angel Falls. Reaching one of the world's most beautiful natural wonders, Angel Falls is not easy at all. First, you have to board a small airplane and fly over dense rainforests and the ancient Tepuy Mountains, which are millions of years old. After that, the journey begins on the Churun River, where you have to travel for several hours through the jungle in a small wooden boat. Dense trees, towering cliffs, and a silence all around, broken only by the sound of the river. It feels as if we are slowly leaving the modern world behind and stepping into some lost world. And then suddenly, Angel Falls appears right in front of you. Falling from a height of approximately 979 meters, this waterfall is the highest in the world. Its height is so great that the water falling from the top often turns into mist in the air before it even reaches the ground. From a distance, it looks as if someone has hung a long silver ribbon between the clouds. That is why it is considered one of the most beautiful waterfalls in the world. Although the world knows it by the name Angel Falls, the Pemon tribe people who have lived here for centuries call it Kerepakupay Meru, which means the waterfall that falls from the deepest place. For them, it is not just a waterfall, but a sacred place of the gods, and they believe that spirits reside on the peaks of these Vishal Tepuy Mountains. Here's an interesting fact. The world discovered this waterfall very late. In 1933, American pilot Jimmy Angel flew over the waterfall for the first time while searching for a gold mine. Later, its international name, Angel Falls, was given after him. Tepuy Mountains. The beauty of Angel Falls becomes even more extraordinary because of the massive Tepuy Mountains standing behind it. At first glance, they look as if someone has cut off the peaks of the mountains and made them completely flat. But their story goes back millions of years. According to scientists, these mountains are around 2 billion years old, meaning these rocks were standing on Earth even when the Himalayas did not yet exist. And over millions of years, rain and wind have carved them into their present form. With steep vertical cliffs all around and a completely flat world existing on top. The word Tepuy comes from the language of the local Pemon tribe and means house of the gods. They believe that spirits reside on the peaks of these mountains, which is why for centuries very few people dared to venture there. And when you see them floating above the clouds, this belief begins to feel almost real. The most astonishing thing about these mountains is that their peaks remained almost completely isolated from the rest of the world for millions of years. Because of this, many rare plants and creatures evolved here that are found nowhere else in the world. This mysterious world also became the inspiration for the famous novel The Lost World by Arthur Conan Doyle, which was adapted into the 1997 movie Jurassic Park. And among these Tepuy Mountains, the most famous is Mount Roraima, which at first glance looks like a scene straight out of a science fiction movie. Los Roques. If you think Venezuela is only a country of jungles, waterfalls, and mountains, then take a look here. Located in the middle of the Caribbean Sea, Los Roques is a spectacular archipelago made up of around 350 small and large islands, sandbars, and coral reefs. From above, its turquoise waters look as if a painter has mixed dozens of different shades of blue into the sea. That is why it is considered one of the most beautiful places in the Caribbean. Here you can travel from one island to another in a small boat, surrounded by colorful coral reefs, sea turtles, flamingos, and thousands of tropical fish, giving you the experience of an exciting paradise-like journey. At night, the scenery becomes even more special, when tiny microscopic organisms light up the waters along the shores with a blue glow, making it look as if the stars have come down to earth. Cayo de Agua. Among the hundreds of islands in Los Roques lies Cayo de Agua, which at first glance looks nothing less than a dream destination. Its most distinctive feature is a narrow sandbar of white sand that connects two islands in the middle of the sea. When you walk along this pathway, you can see the crystal clear turquoise waters of the Caribbean Sea on both sides. What's interesting is that years ago, there used to be small freshwater wells here, which is an extremely unusual feature for a coral island. That's why this island was named Cayo de Agua, meaning island of water. Los Llanos. Let's now move forward on our journey and head toward a completely different side of Venezuela, a place where you can see neither the sea nor towering mountains. Instead, as far as the eye can see, there are nothing but vast, open plains. And this is Los Llanos. Covering nearly 1/4 of Venezuela, this vast grassland is considered one of the richest ecosystems in South America. During the summer, this region transforms into dry grasslands. But as soon as the rains begin, the entire Los Llanos turns into a massive wetland. Because of this transformation, millions of birds, thousands of capybaras, crocodiles, anacondas, giant anteaters, jaguars, and hundreds of other animal species make their home here. Many wildlife experts even consider it one of the best safari destinations in South America. Amazon rainforest and Orinoco River. If you think Venezuela is only about the sea or mountains, then perhaps you are mistaken, because the true heartbeat of this country lies within its dense forests. A large part of southern Venezuela is covered by the vast Amazon rainforest, one of the largest rainforests in the world. The forests are so dense that in many places, even sunlight cannot reach the ground. And these very forests are home to mysterious creatures and plants that can even take someone's life with their poison. Flowing through the Amazon rainforest is the Orinoco River, which is considered the lifeline of Venezuela. Stretching for around 2,100 kilometers, this river divides into hundreds of smaller streams along its journey, forming a massive delta. Here, you can find mangrove forests, piranhas, river dolphins, caimans, and countless species of colorful birds. Even today, there are many villages in this region that cannot be reached by roads, and boats are the only means of transportation for the people living there. Indigenous communities have also lived around this river for centuries. Now, let's leave the jungle behind and head toward a town that, when you see it, makes you feel as if you've arrived in Germany. Colonia Tovar. This is Colonia Tovar. In 1843, around 400 people from Germany came and settled here in search of a better life. And even in their new country, they did not give up their homes, food, farming practices, festivals, or even their language. For several decades, this area remained almost cut off from the rest of Venezuela, which is why their culture has remained largely the same even today. As you explore the town today, you'll find German bakeries, homemade chocolates, strawberry farms, and traditional European architecture. That's why it feels like a European hill town. Catatumbo lightning. In northwestern Venezuela, along the shores of Lake Maracaibo, there is a mysterious place where the color of the sky seems to change, and within moments, lightning begins flashing continuously all around. Not just once or twice, but for several hours at a time. This unique phenomenon is called Catatumbo lightning. For around 140 to 160 nights a year, lightning flashes dozens of times every minute here. Scientists believe that the surrounding mountains, moisture from the lake and warm air combine to create weather conditions where clouds continuously collide with one another. This is why it is also considered one of the places in the world with the highest frequency of lightning. Centuries ago, sailors traveling across the Caribbean Sea would use this flashing lightning in the distance to find their way. That is why it is also known as the Lighthouse of the Caribbean. And when the sky continues to light up throughout the entire night without any sound, it feels as if nature itself has switched on millions of LED lights. Caracas. So far, we've explored Venezuela's natural wonders. But now, let's head toward the city that serves as the country's capital. This is Caracas. Surrounded by tall mountains on all sides, the city looks at first glance like a city nestled in the middle of a valley. On one side, there are modern buildings, shopping malls, and wide roads, while on the other, colorful houses built along the hills give this city a completely different identity. As morning arrives, the streets fill with people heading to work, people start their day with coffee at cafes, and as evening falls, parks, restaurants, and open markets once again come alive with activity. If you want to see the most spectacular view of Caracas, you have to head up to El Avila mountain. To get there, you have to take a cable car ride. As the cabin climbs higher, the entire city of Caracas gradually comes into view before your eyes. On one side are the towering mountains, and on the other, the Caribbean Sea shimmering in the distance. Perhaps this is why the city is also considered one of the most beautiful capitals on the South American continent. Mérida. If you're also a mountain lover, then Mérida could be a perfect travel destination for you. Nestled in the Andes Mountains, this is a city where adventure lovers from around the world come for hiking, mountain biking, rock climbing, and paragliding. But the most beautiful ride here is the Mucumbari cable car system. It is the world's highest and longest cable car. This 12-kilometer-long journey takes you up to an altitude of 4,700 meters. As the cabin rises higher through the clouds, green valleys, lakes, and snow-covered peaks begin to appear below. For a few moments, it feels as if you're flying through the sky. Margarita Island. Venezuelans often head to Margarita Island to spend their holidays. Located in the Caribbean Sea, this island is famous around the world for its white sand beaches, coconut trees, and clear blue waters. Centuries ago, this island was known for its pearls. It is said that such a large number of natural pearls were found in the waters here that even Christopher Columbus made his way to this island. Today, the same Margarita Island has become Venezuela's most famous holiday destination, thanks to its luxury resorts, water sports, sunset cruises, and local markets. Road trip of Venezuela. So far, we've seen Venezuela's waterfalls, mountains, jungles, seas, and islands. But if you truly want to experience this country, you have to hit its roads at least once. Because Venezuela is one of those countries where the journey is more beautiful than the destination. Some roads wind through the valleys of the Andes Mountains, with deep cliffs on one side and mountains disappearing into the clouds on the other. In some places, the open plains of Los Llanos stretch far into the distance on both sides of the highway. And while traveling, you may suddenly spot capybaras, colorful birds, or herds of cattle along the roadside. And as you move farther south, asphalt roads gradually give way to red dirt tracks, while dense rainforests begin to welcome you. But friends, as beautiful as these roads are, they are equally thrilling. If you set out on Venezuela's famous Transandean Highway, within just a few minutes, the roads begin winding like a snake through the towering Andes Mountains. Deep cliffs on one side, peaks hidden in the clouds on the other, and changing scenery at every turn. In many places, the roads are so narrow that you have to stop to let an oncoming vehicle pass. But this is also considered one of Venezuela's most memorable road trips. The road from the country's capital, Caracas, toward La Guaira feels like nothing less than a roller coaster ride. Within just a few kilometers, the road descends from the mountains and reaches the Caribbean coast. All along the way, lush green valleys can be seen on one side, while the blue sea shimmers in the distance on the other. If the weather is clear, it feels as if the mountains and the sea are reaching out to hold hands with each other. And if your destination is Gran Sabana or Canaima National Park, the journey becomes even more exciting. In many places, the paved roads come to an end and rough, uneven red dirt tracks begin. Waterfalls suddenly appear along the way. The Tepuy Mountains peek out from behind the clouds in the distance, and sometimes capybaras and other wild animals can be seen roaming across the open plains. Here, it truly feels like the journey is more beautiful than the destination. The people of Venezuela. It is said that the true identity of any country is not defined by its mountains, waterfalls, or buildings, but by the people who live there. And when it comes to Venezuela, its people are perhaps the country's greatest strength. Despite economic hardships, Venezuelans know how to live life to the fullest. As evening arrives, people gather outside their homes, in cafes and in small squares, talking for hours. If you arrive at a Venezuelan's home as a guest, it is not considered good manners here to let you leave without offering you coffee or food. Music and dance are a part of the lifestyle here. On the Caribbean coast, you can hear the beats of drum. In Los Llanos, the traditional melodies of joropo echo across the plains, while in the major cities, salsa, merengue, and reggaeton are among people's favorite choices. Different festivals are celebrated here throughout the year, but one of the most unique festivals is Diablos Danzantes de Corpus Christi. On this day, people wearing colorful devil-like masks dance in the streets. It looks like a carnival, but in reality, it is considered a symbol of the triumph of good over evil. Meanwhile, the carnival, held in February, also fills the entire country with color, music, and dance. And now, let's talk about the thing Venezuela is most famous for around the world. Its beautiful women. Venezuela has won dozens of titles in international beauty pageants such as Miss Universe, Miss World, Miss International, and Miss Earth. But the reason is not just natural beauty. Here, modeling has become more than a profession. It has become a culture. From a young age, many girls begin receiving training in grooming, fitness, public speaking, and personality development. When it comes to food and drinks, Venezuela's most popular food is arepa. This round bread made from corn flour is eaten in almost every household in the country. It is served in different ways, filled with cheese, chicken, beans, or avocado. Besides this, pabellón criollo, hallaca, empanadas, and chile chicha andina are also among the favorite dishes of the people here. Mornings here often begin with a cup of strong Venezuelan coffee, and even in the evening, Family members make sure to sit together and enjoy coffee. Black gold. The story of Venezuela is not limited to its culture or beauty. The biggest story of this country lies hidden beneath its land. At the beginning of the 20th century, huge crude oil reserves were discovered here, and before long, Venezuela's fortunes began to change. Major oil companies from around the world started arriving, new cities began to emerge, wide roads were built, and millions of people found employment. Within just a few decades, Venezuela became one of the richest countries in South America. Over time, so much oil began to be extracted that today, Venezuela is considered to have the world's largest proven oil reserves. The government began heavily subsidizing gasoline, and the situation became such that at times 1 liter of gasoline was sold for less than a bottle of water. During that era, people began to believe that this wealth would never run out, but a major mistake had already been made. The entire country had become almost completely dependent on one thing: oil. And then came the downfall that plunged the entire country into poverty. The downfall, in fact, when crude oil prices began to fall around the world, Venezuela's income also started declining rapidly. On top of that, corruption, poor economic policies, declining production, and political instability made the situation even worse. Before long, inflation rose so dramatically that it became difficult for people to even afford everyday essentials. Millions of people began migrating to other countries in search of a better life, and the entire world started viewing Venezuela as an economic crisis. But then, even when the global supply of crude oil began to increase again, Venezuela's oil exports did not increase. And the biggest reason for this is the quality of its crude oil. In fact, Venezuela has the world's largest oil reserves, but the oil found there is quite thick, which makes it very expensive to extract from beneath the ground or the ocean floor and then refine at a refinery. That is why oil companies are no longer interested in the country's oil. But when the demand for this crude oil increases in the future and countries around the world begin to run out of oil, Venezuela's oil could take it from the bottom to the top. So, that's all for today. Now, tell us in the comments, what did you think of Venezuela? If you ever get the chance, would you like to travel to this country? And what is your favorite tourist destination? If you enjoyed this travel documentary, please like and share the video and help us reach 21,221 likes. And to keep watching more exciting videos like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press the notification bell. Thank you.